Hello and welcome to Little Known Moments in Black History. Our theme is In Plain Sight, Africans and People of Color in the Bible. For hundreds of years in the history of Western civilization, persons of African descent have been stereotyped in negative ways. This has caused a number of problems, three of which are: 1. Formidable and frightening racial tensions between primarily those people of European and African descent. 2. The exclusion of persons of African descent from their rightful place in Bible history, resulting in large numbers of persons of African descent having questions regarding their identity and their part in God's plan of salvation. And 3. The intentional and sometimes unintentional misinterpretation of certain portions of Scripture. As a result, the Bible, the most published book in the world, the historical account of the special relationship between a particular people and a particular God, a historical account of how that special relationship has affected the entire world, has been caught up in the negative stereotyping of Africans, persons of African descent, and people of color, and the Afrocentric attempts to correct those views. As time progressed, the works of ancient historians, for example Flavius Josephus, Psellus, Plutarch, Tacitus, Eusebius, Herodotus, and Diodorus, all of whom were of European extraction except Josephus, who was Jewish, were re-examined, and references to African contributions to secular and sacred history were acknowledged and taken seriously. The works of modern historians and biblical scholars of African and African American descent, for example Sheikha Diop, Gerald Massey, J.A. Rogers, Charles B. Cofer, Kane Hope Felder, and others, were also taken seriously, and according to Reverend Walter A. McCrae, their research and publications have sent many white historians and biblical historical theologians back to school. Besides, archaeological discoveries point to the fact that Africans and non-African people of color were significant participants in Bible history. Now, the questions that comes to many a mind is, so what? What difference does it make? Let folk believe what they want to believe. This has nothing to do with salvation and the preaching of the gospel. We have Jesus, and God is love. Why can't we just all get along and do it without playing the race card? Unfortunately, the race card has already been played. However, there's a more compelling reason why we must address and come to grips with this issue. You see, Jesus Christ is coming soon, a lot sooner than most of us think. And while living in the shadow of the second coming, far too many people of color, African Americans included, are seeing Christianity, the belief in Jesus Christ as the only begotten of the Father, who came to this earth and spilled his blood for our salvation, as the white man's religion, and the Holy Scriptures as the white man's book, and will have nothing to do with either one, and are looking elsewhere for salvation. Centuries of negative Western scholarship and certain unhealthy attitudes that Western missionaries had toward indigenous people of color has taken its toll. In light of this, we will briefly consider the presence of Africans, persons of African descent, and people of color in the Bible, and see how they can be identified and the roles they played in the plan of salvation. This little known moment in Black History episode is brought to you by the Brotherhood of Greater St. John Missionary Baptist Church.